Alright, so this is a Blender crash course, okay, to get you started with Blender in a very short time possible. Okay, so I try to finish this in maybe 15 minutes. Okay, so this itself is a cheat sheet. Okay, we try to keep it short and simple. We're just gonna cover what are all the necessary stuff whereby to create a 3D model. Okay, it's not a step-by-step guide, it's not a tutorial, so don't expect nice stuff out of it. Okay, we are mainly focusing on the tools that is in Blender for us to create 3D models. I mean simple one for now. Right. So the content itself, right, we're gonna cover is adding meshes, camera navigation, gizmo, modeling tabs, edit and object mode, material panels, and lastly exporting. Okay, so this kind of getting you from a cube to Unity. Okay, so that's what we are trying to achieve at the end of this course. Okay, so very simple. When you start Blender, this is the UI that will be faced. Okay, so basically, the very first thing we want to do is always to create a simple objects, simple primitives such as cylinders, squares, cubes, and planes and stuff, etc. Okay, so just take note when you start when you start Blender, you'll be in object mode, and you're just gonna add meshes. Okay, so without further ado, let's go and fire up our Blender. Right. So in the beginning, when you start Blender, you will see this and just keep it as default. Okay, for myself, I will depends. I mean, I can keep the cameras and the lights there. Okay, but I will probably leave them there for now. Right, and we have a modeling tab, so that's where we'll be working on. And we have, you can click on add more meshes and stuff. Okay, maybe a cylinder. Okay, then we'll delete the cube. Okay, by pressing delete. Okay, so we have a cylinder mesh now. So that's the very first part we have. Is to add a mesh. Right. Next is to move around the scene, move around to look at our meshes or our 3D models. Okay, so very standard stuff such as rotate, move, and zoom. Okay, which is similar with Unity. So you can press your middle mouse button to rotate around the object. Okay, you can hold down shift and press mouse button to move side to side, up and down. Right, and scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out. Okay, so that's kind of all you need to look around your 3D models. Moving on. Okay, moving on, right, we have the transform gizmo. Right, what is a 3D object without you being able to move and navigate and to rotate certain vertices and stuff? Right, so generally they are the same three things: move, scale, and rotate. Okay, generally I will not use the first one because it's kind of like complicated and hard to use. Right, if you need to move, you press the move. You need to rotate, you press the rotate. And if you need to scale, you scale. Right, so the gizmo is at your top left, okay, which is this column. Okay, so basically all the stuff are there, such as your scale. Sorry, move that away. Such as your move, rotate, and scale. Okay, so for this, we'll try to avoid using that. Right, so with that said, we can select the object we want, click on the move tool, and we can move them around. Okay, pretty standard like your Unity. Okay, likewise, you could rotate them. Okay, so always rotate single axis by single axis. I think that is gonna make things much more, less complicated and confusing. And lastly, these two, scale. Okay. Right, so these are some of the basic gizmo to move things around. Right, so for edit mode and object mode, okay, so in Blender, there's always this thing called edit mode and object mode. Okay, so object basically you cannot do any editing of like the meshes, the faces and stuff to it. You can only do all this in the edit mode. Okay, so we'll take a look very quickly on what is this edit mode and where we can find them. So basically, right, you can find them at the top left corner. Okay, just right at the corner. Right, so you got your object mode and edit mode. Right, so these are the two modes that you are toggling around most of the time. Okay, so you can also quickly toggle them by pressing tab. Okay, that's one way. Okay, so when you go into edit mode, right, you notice things changes and you have lots more options on your left. Okay, so these are all the options whereby you can do your modeling, etc. So we'll cover them in the next slides. Okay, so we are already in modeling tab as mentioned earlier. And for edit mode, right, okay, so one thing, the question to ask is what are we editing? So we're editing things like the vertices, the edges, and the faces. Okay, so vertex are single points, edges are made of 2 points, and faces are at least 3 points. Okay, so depending on what you want to move, you gotta choose the thing that you want to move. Okay, choose the mode that you want to move. Right, and you can find all this at the top left corner again. Okay, so your vertices, your edges, and lastly your faces. Okay, so I try to go fast so that you can get started real quickly because practice is the key. Okay, so for edit mode, right, what other stuff you can edit are things like extrude, bevel, loop cut, and knife. Okay, so these are some of the tools that you can use to help you to sculpt your models. Okay, so we'll try them out and we'll see exactly how to use them. Okay, first thing first, you have got to be in edit mode, and you can notice on your top left, not exactly top left, but rather on your left, you got all the tools. Okay, so just try to remember the icon. I won't be expecting you guys to use the shortcut, but at least remember the icons. Okay, so for extrusion, uh, okay, so for extrude, right, maybe I want to select the face. Okay, then I want to extrude the face upwards. Okay, so basically I'm extending my this cylinder. Okay, likewise for inset. Okay, what inset does, right, is basically extrude and scale inwards. Okay, so click on inset and then you press the yellow handle and you can push it down. Okay, right, so for bevel is basically make the edge not so sharp. Okay, looking at our cylinder now, right, the edge look very sharp. So we don't want that. So we're gonna try to. Okay, you can press and double click. You can hold down alternate and double click on the edges to select the edge, and then press the bevel and pull the yellow knot. Okay. Take note that actually you have additional option whereby here, okay, you can increase the division. Okay, the segment. Okay. So I increase to 4 and this will give me a rounded edge. Okay. So moving on, if let's say in suddenly along the way, right, you want to add more details to your so-called cylinder, you can also use a loop cut. Okay, so basically loop cut, right, will cut around the object itself. Okay, so for me, after I click loop cut, normally I like to shift. Okay, right, so I can do this. So whereby now I can have a detail. I can build in more details. Right, so again holding down alternate and double click. Okay, I can select the whole row of faces. Okay, so from there maybe I can do some like extrude. Okay, so for extruding this way, right, you can't really pull it, but rather, right, what you want to do is to scale it. Okay, sorry, extrude once first, press E. Okay, so and press S to scale. Okay, so you kind of need to try and error and get the hang of like how Blender works and what is used to do certain features and things like that. Okay, so likewise you can also bevel again, since we'll do a quick one. So you can press alternate and hold shift to do the bevel. And oops. Okay, maybe it's not a good idea to do the bevel for this. It's alright then. So we are gonna pass the bevel and we're gonna go to knife. Okay. So basically knife, right, is you want to cut across the faces. Right. So for knife, normally I will select the polygon. Sorry, I will select the vertex and I will cut across. Okay, so once you're done, press enter. Then you can cut again. Oops. Okay. So now I have a few more additional faces around here. Okay, but I got one a hell of mess here, so we'll fix that in the next feature. Okay, so that's kind of like the 5 different tools: extrude, inset, bevels, loop cut, and as well as knife. Okay, so using those tools, you can try to refine your models and add details. So other editing stuff, right, such as delete, fill, and merge vertex. Okay, so basically, delete is you can delete faces, edges, and vertices, and you can fill like faces with like many holes. I mean with a lobang. Okay, so let's go back to our desktop. Right, so let's say for delete, right, very straightforward. If let's say I want to delete a face, I can select a face and I can delete it. Okay, right. Then after that, I can use fill. Okay, by selecting the vertices that I want to fill. Okay, so rule of thumb, right, is that you should not have more than like 4 vertex on a face. Okay, so every time you see you have more than 4 vertex in a face, right, probably you want to fix that. Okay, by either merging or deleting some vertexes, just to clean that up. Okay, so I am pressing the vertices. I'm selecting the vertices and then pressing F to fill them in. Okay. So the last one is basically merge vertex. Okay, so like looking at this, right, we have kind of like a bunch of mess here that we want to fix. So what we can do is we can select the 3 vertex. Okay, there we can press alternate M. Okay, to merge to the maybe let's say center. Okay, right. So with that, okay, now our vertex is merged already. Okay, right. So there are some of the few tools for you to clean up your vertices and your faces. Right, so these are some of the very simple tools. Okay, next thing, a model wouldn't look nice without colors. Okay, so for materials, right, so we are trying to add colors and stuff to it. So, but to take note, by default, you're in shaded mode without materials. Okay, so first thing first, right, you want to go and change the view, viewing mode, right, and then add new materials. Assign the material to the faces that you want, and to preview it. Okay, so we'll quickly dive over. Oops. Right, so to add a material, right, first thing first, go and change your view mode. Okay, you want to see the shading, so click on that first. Right, now look for this round icon at the right side of your screen. Okay, so look at this guy. Okay, so you want to click on this guy to get the material properties, and you want to create a new shader, a new material. Maybe give a new name. I don't know, let's call it green. Okay, and then set the base color to green. Okay, so by default that will be set to green. Okay, so but if let's say I want to assign specifically onto a part, specific color to a specific spot, I can then add material. Okay, maybe give a new name, call blue, maybe call yellow. Okay, set the base color to yellow. Okay, then now we can select the faces that we want to paint them yellow. Okay, so click on yellow and assign. Okay, so now we have a yellow. Right, so depend on what else you want to align, what else you want to color. Okay, you can assign. Okay, but go easy on the materials because you don't want to create too many materials, if because it's not good for your graphics card, it'll slow them down. Okay, so that's kind of like how you create a material. And next off will be the exporting. Okay, so 2 parts to the exporting. First thing first, we need to go export as a FBX. Okay, file export. Then followed by a specific settings that we want, so that we only export the meshes. Okay, the mesh. We don't want the camera, we don't want the lights and stuff because we can do all of that in Unity. Right. So for the configuration to export, right, make sure you click on selected objects and highlight only mesh, okay, which is the number 2 part, and then give it a name. Okay, what is not in this screenshot here, right, is actually also the experimental. Okay, remember to check that so that you will have the correct axis in Unity. Okay, if not, your Z will be messed up in Unity. Okay, so let's head back to our desktop, our second desktop. Right, so basically, let's export this guy into Unity. Right, so first thing first, file export FBX. Okay, so select a place. We're gonna throw it on the desktop now. Right, so first thing first, you want to select object. Okay, so you see, look at, I forget to select my object, so I got to go back to select mode, sorry, object mode, select my object, then go back to file again and export. Right, so exporting, I will then say I want to save onto my desktop. Okay, so I will select the selected objects. I will only export the mesh and I will use the experimental transform. Okay, so give it a name, call it bin. Okay, looks like a dustbin. Then we export to the desktop. Right, after that's done, okay, we'll see bin on our desktop. Okay, so if you fire out your Unity, you can simply drag this asset uh into your Unity project. Okay, so for normally for models, right, it's not that big. Okay, normally are the textures that is really big. Vertices, the position of vertices and stuff, those are doesn't take up much of a space. Normally are your textures, audios, that really takes up a lot of space. Okay, while Unity is starting up, right, I mean some of the low poly models that you can consider creating, right, I mean rocks, walls, stones, trees, bridges. Okay, so some of the stuff like more intricate, like the bridge, the edges and stuff, right. Okay, so in Blender, right, there's also another feature called sculpting, right, which we will not go into, but you know, if you are interested, feel free to go and try. Okay, I think if you want to achieve all these type of effects, right, I think it's good to know how to do sculpting in Blender. Right, so now that Unity is being fired up, I can then drag my 3D model and drop into my asset, and I can then drop it onto my hierarchy, and voila, there we go, we have got our 3D model here. Okay, so that's kind of how you export your create a 3D model in Blender and then put it onto Unity. Okay, start to end. Right, so with that said, this is the end of this short tutorial. Okay, good luck, have fun. Feel free to create more models, more walls, more trees, more grass, up to you. Okay, and incorporate into your game. Okay, so good luck, have fun. Hope to see cool stuff from you guys. Cheers.